So I might have found a pretty big Easter egg for Black Ops 2 Zombies, and it was a total accident. In one of my recent videos, I was trying to find the location of Nuketown, and we had been given some coordinates that put us really close to a crater in Nevada called Sedan. And then there were some other vague clues like on transit and the spawn area. And what I was trying to do was support the theory that the Black Ops 3 DLC spells Sedan to maybe give us that confirmation as to where Nuketown actually is. If you take the first letters of all the 4 DLC and then use the Nuketown DLC as well, you do spell Sedan, S-E-D-A-N. And we will never know if this was intended or not, but it was still fun to speculate about it. I made a full video talking about it. While I was looking into this info, I found something that could be bigger. It seems like it is, or it would have been if we had found it back then in Black Ops 2 days. What had happened is I went into Black Ops 2 Zombies and I clicked on the globe and I was going into Nuketown, and I noticed that Nuketown is sitting on a bit of a crater in the menu, and I was like, maybe I can check out this crater in this menu and compare it to Sedan and see if it matches up, and that will really help to confirm this. I went and got the raw texture file to see what all I could view, and yeah, it gave me the entire crater that Nuketown is sitting on, but it also gave me a lot more craters that you don't see in the menu. I was looking at these craters and I was like, these don't look like Nevada test site craters at all. They're much different. And I knew that because I used my VR headset to go into Google Earth, and I went to the Nevada test site and I could hover over and fly over all the craters and get a really good look at them. And I was like, that's so weird. Like, they don't look anything like what we're seeing on the Nuketown map. And I was thinking, well, maybe they're moon craters or something. Turns out they are not moon craters, and I did locate what they are. And the more I dug, the crazier and crazier it got. And then I actually had to contact Jimmy Zielinski because I was like, dude, what is going on here? And his response pretty much validated what I had found, and it totally sucks because if we had found this during Black Ops 2, then we could have speculated on it, and we might have actually impacted the way that Black Ops 4 ended. And let me explain what I mean. So yeah, the community, we speculate on stuff, we talk about stuff, and Treyarch picks up on that, and sometimes they use that to amplify certain story aspects or even build on what we talk about. And we've definitely seen that. One really big example, and something that ties into what I found, is back on Black Ops 1 and Shangri-La. And some of you will know about this, but on Shangri-La, if you fly way out of the map, there's this mountain range out there, and it totally doesn't match the terrain. Some community members had dug into the files to see that this mountain range was called Mars Vista. Mars definitely has mountains, and this does look very Mars-ish. And once the community had seen this, yeah, there were lots of conversations about this on the forums, and people were speculating. And then Jimmy Zielinski on Twitter was making all kinds of tweets and hints about this, talking about the Shangri-La Mountains. He had even responded to NASA, making a comment about paradise being on Mars, which Shangri-La is like paradise, and that's what he was referring to. And there were other clues too, like in the loading screen, you see these red cliffs. We think, yeah, that's definitely representing Mars. And then during the Easter egg, you've got the eclipse steps where an eclipse happens. And the object blocking the sun is definitely not the moon because it's not perfectly round. And we all pretty much know now that it's one of Mars's moons called Phobos. Also, I don't know if anybody's ever shown this. They might have, but I haven't really seen it when I was Googling stuff. But for the Black Ops 3 Shangri-La remaster, they completely remastered the Mars Mountains. There are 4 different model files, and they call them all Mars Mountains. And yeah, they're way high def. They have a lot of detail, and yeah, that's pretty much confirmation right there. The theory back in the day was that Shangri-La originally existed on Mars when the planet was habitable, and there was a race that lived there called the Vrilia, and most people have probably heard of that. That was a part of the storyline really early on, and then they turned the Vrilia into the Keepers. Then Mars became uninhabitable, so that Vrilia race used their powers to teleport Shangri-La to Earth. They also theorized theorize that during the main Easter egg, during the eclipse step, that's when you took Shangri-La back in time when it was on Mars. And that's when you see the eclipse and you see Phobos, which is one of Mars's moons. Then we got more subtle confirmation on Black Ops 4 during Tagged or Toten. You dive into that ice tunnel, and when you emerge, you see Mars and you hear the Shangri-La music playing. And they call this Easter egg the big secret. So yeah, they took something the community was really speculating on and curious about, and they blew it up and gave us a big finale with this ending on Black Ops 4. And they also wanted Tagged or Toten to be a part of Mars for some reason. And you see that clue, obviously, when you're on the map and you see Mars, but also in a music video. In the music video for Tagged or Toten, the song A Light from the Shore, they show basically Mars's moon Phobos, and then they pan in and you can see the lighthouse from Tagged or Toten. So we've got Shangri-La on Mars at some point, and then we have Call of the Dead Tagged or Toten on one of its moons. And then there's also pocket dimension stuff going on, and I'm not going to get into that. I want to get back to the Nuketown craters and show you how all of that could have tied into this. So Jimmy Zielinski hid a Mars mountain graphic on Shangri-La back on BO1, and it blew up into what we saw on Black Ops 4. Well, he also hid famous Mars craters around Nuketown on its map. And I don't think anybody has ever discovered this, because if they had, we'd be having a fit about it and definitely speculating and being like, what the hell is happening? I'm going to go over just the smaller craters first. I'll talk about the bigger one later, but the smaller ones, there's 11 total. And out of that, 6 of them are from Mars. Of those 6 Mars craters, I was able to identify 4 of them. Now, there are 300,000 craters on Mars, so I was pretty impressed that I was able to find 4 of these. And these craters are important because they support the theory that there was life on Mars at one point. And one of the craters supports the theory that there was water. One crater is called Happy Face. There is Sigley, Tooting, and then Danielson crater. What's interesting is that whenever they cut and pasted these Mars craters onto this Nuketown map, they inverted them. So all of them are flipped. But yeah, these are 100% famous Mars craters. And I was able to locate the longitude, latitude coordinates for all of them. And this is how those 4 map out on Mars. And shout out to Rich Killer. I was talking to him about all of this and he was like, hey, yeah, map those out and see if they're close together. But they're not. So that's not helping in any way. But still cool to see. So I got those figured out, and still, like, we have no idea what's going on. We were not able to speculate on this and see it being implemented within the storyline. So it's just kind of like, well, what do you do? There are 5 other smaller craters, and those actually are real craters from Nevada test site. The Nevada test site is really cool looking. It's like this vertical strip of land where it's just nuked to death. And if you go to the spot where these craters are, because they are grouped together, they're about a half a mile from Sedan crater. On the Nuketown map, they did duplicate some of the Nevada test site craters. So they like took one and cut and pasted it a couple of times on the page, but they're all the same ones. So we've got the majority of these being Mars craters, and then some of them being Nevada test site craters. But I wanted to see what's going on with the giant crater. Oddly enough, they did not use the Sedan crater for this giant one. It is a real crater, and I think that they're using a specific one because it ties in more to Mars. I need to explain something first so that I can show you guys what my theory is. So when you go back to Black Ops 1 and Shangri-La and that mountain range that was called Mars way back when, I looked into this and I found that this mountain or cliffs or whatever it is actually a real location, and it's in Arizona. Arizona's landscape is highly known for being pretty similar to Mars. It's got that red tint with those dynamic cliffs and craters craters, and it looks like they were just using the Arizona landscape as the inspiration to make it look like Mars, and then just calling it Mars in the file. Then when you go back to the Nuketown map and you look at that giant crater, that is a real crater in Arizona, and it's called Meteor Crater. It's known for being really close to what we would experience on Mars. It's really well preserved. It's got the red rock, and a lot of scientists use it and study it for Mars information. It's an impact crater, obviously, from a meteor that happened about 50,000 years ago. So Jimmy was using the Arizona landscape to try and make it look like Mars. And so I think, yeah, maybe this crater on Nuketown could be doing the same thing. So I have been in Jimmy Zielinski's DMs before. I've had some conversations with him, so I thought I'm going to reach out to him and see if I can get any information. Now, I know he likes to be very vague and mysterious, so I didn't expect a lot from him. And what I got from him felt like a bit of an approval. Of course, you can read into it many ways, but I'll show you what he said. I was like, hi again, really sorry to bother you. Very, very random question for you. I've been snooping around in BO2 and found that the globe loading screen for Nuketown has Mars craters on it, along with the Barringer crater and some Nevada test site craters. I said the Mars craters are especially interesting, and I'm going to be making a video about it, and wanted to reach out to see if I'm allowed to pick your brain about it and if you were able to say anything. I blasted him with the image, and then he responded really quickly. This was like 6 a.m, and he responded within an hour, and he said, no need to apologize. I love your and the community's dedication. And then he said, that's a very interesting picture you got there, exclamation point. So the fact that he responded pretty quickly, and then saying that it's interesting, that led me to believe that, yeah, this image does hold some interest, or at least it did at that time. I mean, how could it not? So I was just trying to find Nuketown location information, and the next thing I know, I'm staring at Mars craters, and yeah, that took a massive left turn. What do you guys think about this? Would this have been like a big topic of conversation? Would this really have blown up? Would it have changed what we saw at the end of Black Ops 4? Like, maybe Nuketown would have been on Mars as well, and that would have been some big surprise. I don't know. Is there some clue we're missing now that leads us to believe that it's in some pocket dimension on Mars or something? Like, I think we would have caught onto that by now. During Black Ops 4 and Alpha Omega, the storyline took a turn, and maybe Mars was going to be something really early on when Jimmy was working on it, but it's definitely not what we got in Black Ops 4. Since they gave us the Shangri-La on Mars situation that Jimmy started, I think they would have given this to us as well if we had brought it up and talked about it. I really want to know what you guys think about this, especially the people that are really good with the storyline. Do you know anything more that could be added to this or whatever? Comment down below. I'll definitely be checking. But yeah, it's kind of sad. I feel like we might have missed out on something, but let me know what you guys think about this, and we'll see you next video.